Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every life when the noise fades and a still voice begins to whisper. Soft at first, then louder, firmer, more urgent. This is not fear speaking, nor is it fate. This is a final warning from above. A moment when heaven leans close, runs the park, not to scold, but to shake you gently before life does it harshly. God's final warning is not thunder from the sky. It's not fire or earthquake. It's silence. It's the job that didn't work out. The friend who turned away. The doors that refused to open. Running through the park. It's the heavy feeling in your chest that says, you're off track. This isn't your path. These signs are divine messages, not to break you, but to bring you back. There comes a point in every journey where the soul begins to feel uneasy, ruining the park, not because of the challenges we face, but because something within us knows we've drifted away from the path meant for us. Running through the life has a way of sending us subtle messages, and if we're honest, most of us have felt those nudges. Quiet discomfort in a job that once excited us. The relationships that start to feel heavy. The puck. The inner voice that whispers we're settling for less. These are not coincidences. They are the early signs, the soft warnings that something needs to change. And when those signs are ignored for too long, they begin to evolve into something stronger. That's when we face what can be called a final warning, a powerful call to wake up and realign before we lose more than just time. This warning doesn't come in loud chaos. In fact, it often comes in silence. When everything you try begins to fall apart and nothing seems to move forward, it is not just life being unfair. Maybe that God has decided to intervene. Not to punish, but to prevent you from walking any further in the wrong direction. Sometimes unanswered prayers are the greatest answers. Sometimes the things we beg for are the very things that would destroy us. In such moments, through the park, the delays, the closed doors, the sudden disruptions are actually divine protection in disguise. Room through the park. But because they don't come with flashing lights, we misinterpret them as rejection or misfortune. This is why it is so important to become sensitive to your inner world. The world around you reflects your spiritual state. When confusion reigns, when nothing feels aligned, it's often a signal that you've become disconnected from your spiritual center. When the soul is disconnected, the direction becomes unclear. You lose the sense of why you started, and your values begin to blur. When God intervenes again, not to scold you, but to redirect you. The final warning comes when He sees you've been given time, grace, running the park, and signs, but you're still choosing what's easy instead of what's right. It's a tough truth, but one we must all face. The warning doesn't mean you're beyond help. In fact, it's a sign you are still loved. It's God saying, you still have time, but not much. Wake up, and in that wake-up call lies your last chance to pivot, to choose growth over comfort, purpose over popularity, discipline over distraction. It is a sacred opportunity. If you ignore it, life will become more chaotic, not because God is angry, but because He won't allow you to find peace on a path that's not yours. The final warning is a gift. Painful perhaps, but precious. Running through the park, it's a call to return to yourself, to your faith, to your purpose. Respond before it becomes regret. When life begins to feel like it's standing still, when the prayers you once whispered now seem to echo into emptiness, it's easy to believe that nothing is happening. But in truth, in the park, something very significant is unfolding. God may be sending you His final warning. This warning is not dramatic or filled with thunder and lightning. It is often quiet, subtle, and deeply personal. Running through the park, it shows up in ways that may pause and question, not in fear, but in awareness. Running, you may begin to feel a heaviness in places where there once was joy. You may lose your appetite for things that once excited you. This isn't depression or confusion. It's divine interruption. running through the park. It's God's way of alerting you that the life you are living is drifting too far from the one He designed for you. Too often, we pray for success, love, or opportunity, but we don't prepare ourselves to receive them in the right way. We cling to relationships that no longer serve our growth, or chase dreams that feed our ego, but starve our soul. Running through the park. When these things start to fall apart, we panic. But what if they're not falling apart? They're falling away. What if God is stripping away the noise to help hear what matters? Sometimes the silence in our life is not God turning away. It's Him saying, listen carefully, running through the park. You're going the wrong way. The final warning isn't a punishment, it's protection. It's His mercy extended one last time before consequences become unavoidable. In every person's life, there are moments of choice, few moments of urgency. A final warning is one of those moments. It's the point where decisions become critical. The wrong one may lead to years of regret. The right one can lead to redemption. You may find yourself tired not because you are weak, but because your soul is weary of carrying things that aren't yours. You are holding on to versions of yourself that have already expired. And God, in His infinite wisdom, is trying to set you free. But freedom demands release. Running through the park. You cannot walk into your next season while dragging the weight of your disobedience. Your environment often becomes the classroom for this warning. Closed doors, broken friendships, sudden delays. These are all signs. Signs to quit, but to reflect, to reassess, to redirect. Every obstacle is a question. Runment. Are you really walking in alignment with what you are called to do? And if the answer is no, then the delay is grace giving you time to adjust before disaster hits. This is the essence of divine mercy. Even the final warning is filled with love. It's God saying, I'm still here, but you must move now. You must choose better. You must come home. The worst mistake is to assume you have more time than you do. The moment of correction is sacred. Treat it as such. The warning. Honor the warning. Let it break you open if it must, because sometimes only a broken heart can make room for a new direction. There is a difference between being busy and being aligned. Many people fill their days with noise, activities, and distractions, running through the park, convincing themselves they are progressing, when in reality they are only avoiding a deeper truth. Through the pour, that truth often comes to the surface when everything slows down, when people walk away, when the plans collapse, when the future becomes unclear. These are not coincidences. These are wake-up calls, the kind that come not from the world, from a higher place. This is when the final warning begins to make itself known. It is not there to shame you. It is there to shake you into consciousness, to bring your attention back to what truly matters. You may feel like life is punishing you, but it could be that God is positioning you. Sometimes the greatest blessings come disguised as loss. Park, we do not always recognize divine intervention in the moment because it often requires us to let go of things we thought we needed. But that discomfort is not cruelty, it's correction. Pain of losing something or someone is often the beginning of rediscovering your true self. When you are too attached to temporary things, God may allow them to be removed, not to destroy you, but to deliver you from what is delaying your destiny. Through the park. This is why listening is more powerful than reacting. In moments of silence, where you feel forgotten or overlooked, that is when your awareness must sharpen. Ask yourself, what is life trying to teach me? What is no longer serving my growth? What patterns keep repeating because I have refused to change? These questions are not easy, but they are necessary. Through the park, the final warning always comes with an opportunity to shift your habits, your thinking, your direction. But the window does not stay open forever. Delay is dangerous when you've already been given the signs. What makes the final warning so urgent is that it comes with clarity. It removes excuses. You can no longer pretend you didn't know. Running to the park. You felt it in your heart, seen it in your environment, and heard it in the stillness of your thoughts. God is not trying to scare you. He is trying to prepare you. But preparation requires participation. You must choose to obey even when it's uncomfortable. You must choose to walk away from what is familiar if it no longer fits your calling. There is always a final invitation within every final warning. Running through the park. It's not just about stopping something wrong. It's about starting something right. It's about returning to your values, renewing your faith, and stepping into the life you are meant to live. You don't need more time. You need more truth. Running through the park, you need to stop waiting for external signs when your internal world has been sounding the alarm all along. The final warning is not the end, it's a turning point. And whether you rise from it or fall under it depends entirely on how you respond. Many times in life, we are so caught up in routine that we miss the spiritual signals calling us to realign. We wake up, chase goals, interact with people, and follow patterns that seem normal. Yet deep inside, something feels off. There is a quiet unease that lingers no matter how much we achieve. That uneasy feeling is not weakness. It is a signal. A divine alert, quietly warning you that your spirit is being overlooked, that your choices are drifting from your purpose. This is how the final warning begins ELU, not in a dramatic moment, but in consistent discomfort that can no longer be ignored. God doesn't shout over your distractions. Running through the park. He often speaks through delays, disappointments, and silence. That missed opportunity you thought was unfair. Maybe it was His mercy. Relationship that didn't work out. Perhaps it was His protection. Life speaks in patterns, and when you begin to see the same lessons repeat, it's a sign that change is no longer optional. It's necessary. Running through the park. The final warning often comes when you've been given multiple chances to correct your path, yet you continue in disobedience, hoping for a different. But grace doesn't mean endless time. Eventually decisions must be made. Sometimes we ask God to bless what He is trying to break. We want Him to keep things alive that are keeping us spiritually asleep. Pray for success without asking if the path we're on even honors our true purpose. And when things begin to fall apart, we blame circumstances, people, or even fate, never realizing that what's collapsing was never built on the right foundation to begin with. The park. The warning doesn't always show up in disaster. It often arrives in the form of stillness. A moment where nothing moves forward because you're being called to move inward first. This is a divine pause. Running the park. A moment to evaluate your thoughts, your habits, and your relationships. Are they helping you grow? Or are they slowly guiding you toward emotional and spiritual depletion? You must be honest with yourself. The longer you delay this inner audit, the more intense the warnings become. What begins as gentle guidance can turn into painful correction if ignored for too long. Not because God seeks to hurt you, but because He refuses to let you live beneath your calling. Understand this. Final warnings are not about fear, they are about urgency. Time is a gift, and when it is being compressed, running through the park, that means something important must be done. Your destiny cannot afford your procrastination. Your growth cannot tolerate another season of silence. Now is the time to return to clarity. Now is the time to obey the pull in your spirit that says something has to change. Do not wait for things to fall before you take action. You are being called higher, deeper, and truer. The final warning is not a threat. It's an invitation. Accept it with humility. Respond with courage. And watch how everything shifts the moment you choose obedience over delay. Sometimes the most dangerous place to be is in comfort that masks disobedience. We assume that because life appears calm or familiar, we are safe. True safety is not found in routine, it's found in alignment. When your heart, your actions, and your choices are aligned with your higher purpose, peace follows. But when you drift from that purpose, no matter how stable things seem, a spiritual imbalance begins to grow. And if left unchecked, that imbalance reaches a point where a final warning is necessary. This isn't a warning to scare you, it's a wake-up call to save you from deeper consequences that may not be reversible. God's final warning doesn't always look like a dramatic event. Sometimes it's a subtle but persistent discomfort. It could be the same toxic pattern repeating over and over. It could be the same kind of relationships draining you again and again. It could be the same dream you're chasing, but it keeps leaving you empty. These aren't coincidences. They are signs that you're being redirected. When God warns you, He's not trying to break you down, He's trying to bring you back. But we must be willing to listen and act before time runs out. Disobedience isn't always loud or obvious. Sometimes it's quiet. It shows up in the things you avoid doing, the calls you don't return, the decisions you delay, the truth you refuse to accept. But every ignored prompting hardens the heart just a little more. And the more you ignore what you know is right, the harder it becomes to feel conviction at all. That's the danger of delay. It desensitizes you. Final warning comes to restore that sensitivity, to reconnect you to your spiritual awareness before numbness takes over. You might be in a season where things look okay on the outside, but feel completely misaligned within. That inner tension isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's your spirit recognizing that you're off course. And when God loves you, He won't let you ignore that feeling forever. He'll close doors. He'll rearrange your circumstances. He'll strip away everything you're leaning on that was never meant to hold you. Because sometimes what feels like life falling apart is actually your false supports being removed so that the real foundation can be rebuilt. With every final warning comes a final chance. A chance to return, to rebuild, to reset. And the truth is, you don't need all the answers. You just need to say yes. Yes to obedience. Yes to letting go. Yes to surrendering control. One decision can shift everything. God doesn't expect perfection. He desires your willingness, your humility, your trust. Running through the park. Responding to the final warning means choosing to act before you're forced to. It means recognizing that you've been given enough time, enough grace, and enough signs. The next step is yours. Choose obedience even if it's uncomfortable, because comfort can't protect you from what's coming. But obedience can prepare you for what's next. Life often speaks before it screams. It begins with gentle nudges, quiet moments of unease, and inner discomfort. But when those signals are ignored repeatedly, life raises its voice. Doors that once opened without resistance begin to shut. The energy you once had begins to fade. People you counted on begin to drift away. This is not misfortune. It is divine intervention. It is a sacred disruption. When God sees you are moving too far from the path He designed for you, He doesn't immediately send consequences. He sends warnings. And when those are overlooked, He sends a final one, not in anger, but in mercy. Not to punish, but to protect. The final warning is often misunderstood because it doesn't always come with fire or tragedy. It can come in silence, in pause, in a sudden loss of momentum. You may feel stuck, confused, or even abandoned. But the truth is, God has not left you. He's trying to lead you. He's trying to strip away everything that's been distracting you from your true identity. That relationship that failed, it may have been keeping you spiritually blind. That job you lost, it might have been blocking your deeper calling. The final warning pulls you away from the illusion of stability and forces you to face the truth you've been avoiding. When we become addicted to comfort, we resist correction. We start choosing what feels good over what is good. We delay decisions. We avoid accountability. We cling to what is familiar even when it's toxic. But purpose does not grow in comfort. It grows in clarity. And clarity often comes after confrontation. The final warning confronts your excuses, your habits, and your procrastination. It demands a decision. Will you stay in the cycle, or will you surrender to the shift? You are never warned without cause. Warnings are evidence that you are still loved, still chosen, still called. But they also mean the time for change is now. There's a narrow gap between warning and consequence, and how you respond determines what comes next. You don't need to understand every step. You just need to take the next right one. That might mean walking away from what you've built if it no longer serves your soul. It might mean admitting you were wrong. It might mean forgiving someone who will never apologize. The action may be hard, but the reward is peace. Your soul knows when something isn't right. You've felt it. You've heard the whispers. You've seen the patterns. Ignoring them won't make them go away. It will only make them louder. Final warning is God giving you one last chance to get it right before life makes the choice for you. Do not waste it. Reflect, repent, realign. Because no matter how far you've gone, there is still a way back. But that way is not walked in delay. It is walked in obedience. Respond before the silence becomes storm. There comes a moment in every life when excuses can no longer stand in the way of truth. That moment is not random, it is sacred. It is the arrival of a final warning, the last whisper before the thunder, the last tug on your heart before the doors begin to close. This warning is not punishment, it is mercy dressed in urgency. It is God's way of saying, you've been given time, grace, and signs. Now, the decision is yours. In this moment, everything you've been delaying, your healing, your obedience, your growth, comes to the surface and demands your attention. Because ignoring the signs doesn't remove the responsibility, only magnifies the cost of delay. You may have thought you had more time to change, more time to get serious about your purpose, more time to fix what's broken inside. But final warnings don't come when you're ready, they come when you're needed. And they come when the next step in your journey cannot begin until you let go of everything that's holding you back. Running through the park. This isn't just about what you're doing wrong, it's about what you're refusing to start. That book you've been meaning to write. That apology you've been too proud to offer. That calling you've been too afraid to answer. These aren't small delays. They are spiritual postponements, and the final warning calls them out. When you're living out of alignment, your peace will always feel temporary. You may have success, but not fulfillment. You may be surrounded by people, but still feel alone. You may be busy, but completely lost. The final warning forces you to confront the emptiness behind the image. It invites you to remove the mask, strip away the noise, and to meet yourself honestly. Who are you beneath the survival? Beneath the pretending? Beneath the performance? God is not interested in your image. He is after your heart. And the warning comes because He sees what your future holds if you continue in the wrong direction. There is nothing more dangerous than a soul asleep in a season where it was meant to awaken. You are not being shaken for no reason. You are being stirred because your next chapter cannot afford your silence. Someone is depending on your voice. Someone needs your wisdom. Someone's breakthrough is tied to your obedience. The final warning isn't just about you. It's about what's waiting for you on the other side of obedience. That's why it feels urgent. That's why it feels heavy. Because what's at stake is greater than what you can see. You don't need to fear the final warning. You need to respect it. It is a signal that there is still time, but not for long. Every delay from this point forward becomes a decision, and every decision will carry a consequence. You already know what you must do. The question is, will you do it while there's still grace to cover the delay? Or will you wait until regret replaces the opportunity? The choice is yours, but the time is now.